Stop what you're doing right now, because what I'm about to tell you is going to shake everything you thought you knew about American security. 6:12 in the morning. It's Arlington, Virginia. The Pentagon. It's the most secure building in the entire world. A place where America's biggest secrets are protected by layers upon layers of security. But on this morning, something was discovered that shouldn't exist there. Something that sent shockwaves through every single federal agency in the country. Behind a simple office printer, hidden inside a steel compartment welded into the wall, investigators found 3.8 kilograms of pure cocaine, $74,000 in unmarked cash, and a loaded pistol. Now, here's the terrifying part. This wasn't found in some random building. This was found inside the office of a senior policy advisor who had full access to military secrets. A man trusted by the highest levels of government, a man named Michael R. Hanford. When they put the handcuffs on him, he said nothing. Not one word. Just silence. And that silence told investigators everything they needed to know. What they found on his laptop next would expose the largest security breach in American history. 3,800 arrests, 8 tons of drugs pulled off the streets, $240 million in cash, weapons, and narcotics seized. 17 major cities raided in a single coordinated strike. And the most shocking part? The criminals weren't just hiding in warehouses and back alleys. They were hiding inside federal offices, wearing badges, carrying security clearances, sitting in meetings about national defense. This is the story of how the CJNG cartel, the most powerful and dangerous criminal organization operating in Mexico today, managed to infiltrate the heart of American government. Not through bombs, not through violence, but through something far more dangerous. Trust. Buckle up, because this story is going to blow your mind. Let me take you back, before the raids, before the arrests, before anyone knew just how deep this rabbit hole went. For years, and I mean years, federal investigators had this nagging feeling that something was very, very wrong. Shipments were disappearing, not getting intercepted, just vanishing, gone. Like someone knew exactly when and where law enforcement would be looking. Drug busts that should have happened simply didn't. Weapons that were being tracked through official channels suddenly stopped moving. The trails went cold every single time. The Federal Bureau of Investigation noticed it. The Drug Enforcement Administration noticed it. Immigration and Customs Enforcement noticed it too. Everyone was seeing the same pattern, but nobody could figure out what was going on. Here's what made CJNG different from every other cartel. They didn't just use violence and intimidation like the others. They were smarter than that. Much smarter. They used patience. They studied how American systems worked. They learned every weakness, every gap in security, every bureaucratic blind spot. And then, slowly, quietly, they started placing their people inside those systems. Not street thugs with criminal records. Clean-cut professionals. People with college degrees. People who could pass background checks without breaking a sweat. People who looked and acted exactly like the thousands of honest government employees working around them. These weren't criminals sneaking across the border. These were wolves in sheep's clothing, sitting in cubicles, attending meetings, earning promotions, and waiting for the right moment. The signs were there all along. Military logistics reports that didn't add up. Shipping manifests with authentic federal seals that led nowhere. Equipment transfers approved on paper that simply vanished into thin air. Someone was protecting these shipments from the inside, and nobody could figure out who. Until that morning at the Pentagon. Until Michael R. Hanford made one tiny mistake. Until investigators moved that printer and found what was hiding behind it. And that's when everything changed. Pay close attention, because this is where the story gets really scary. Hours after Hanford's arrest, federal analysts at Quantico surrounded a single laptop. His laptop, the encryption on it was military grade, designed to be unbreakable. But Hanford got sloppy. He left one password saved in the system. Just one. And that one mistake cracked the whole thing wide open. What they found inside, I'm telling you, it pushed the entire Pentagon into full emergency mode. The first folder contained shipping logs, 22 separate shipments. Each one disguised as routine military equipment transfers, each one approved through official channels, each one bearing Hanford's digital signature. But these weren't equipment transfers. These were drug shipments, weapon shipments, moving through America's own military logistics network like a disease flowing through the bloodstream. But wait, it gets worse. The second folder was a spreadsheet. 37 names: federal employees, state officials, logistics coordinators, procurement specialists, people working in shipping departments, people handling warehouse schedules, and next to each name, a single word: reliable. Do you understand what that means? These weren't just random, corrupt employees. This was a carefully recruited network of insiders, each one selected because they had access to something valuable: databases, federal seals, scheduling systems, transportation networks. 37 people working for the cartel inside the American government. But there was a third folder, and this one showed just how deep the planning went. 14 suburban houses spread across Virginia, Maryland, and North Carolina. On paper, they belonged to normal people: families, retirees, college students. The neighbors thought they were just regular folks who moved in. In reality, these houses were safe houses, hiding spots for cartel members who had blended so perfectly into quiet American neighborhoods that nobody ever questioned them. Can you imagine? Your neighbor, the quiet guy who waves at you every morning, could be a cartel operative, living right next door, waiting. When senior Pentagon officials saw this intelligence summary, the room went completely silent. This wasn't just one corrupted advisor. This was a structural breach, a network with roots buried deep inside agencies that were supposed to be untouchable. The enemy wasn't at the gates. The enemy was already inside. Okay, stop right here for a second. What you've heard so far is making your blood boil. If you're starting to understand just how dangerous this situation really was, I need you to do something for me. Hit that like button right now. And subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Because what comes next, the raids, the shootouts, the discoveries, it's going to shock you even more. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Now let me show you what happened when federal agents finally decided to strike back. By midnight, Federal Command made a decision that would change everything. They were going to hit every single target at the exact same time. Simultaneously, no advance warning. No chances for anyone to run. Because here's the problem. If even one corrupted employee caught wind of what was coming, if just one text message went out, the entire network would vanish. Years of investigation gone, criminals escaping into the wind, and America would never get another chance like this. So everything had to be coordinated down to the second. Across 17 cities, hundreds of agents, dozens of targets, all moving at once. But before the raids could happen, analysts needed to understand exactly what they were dealing with. And what they discovered was terrifying. CJNG hadn't just bribed a few employees here and there. They had built 3 separate operational corridors running through the heart of American infrastructure. Think of it like 3 hidden highways, each one carrying something different, each one invisible to normal eyes. The first corridor was for weapons. They ran through trucking companies in Texas and Tennessee. Legitimate businesses with spotless records, companies that had regular contracts to deliver machine parts to military bases. Nobody suspected them, but hidden inside those shipments were weapons, rifles, machine guns, ammunition, flowing through America's own transportation network. The second corridor was for drugs, stretched up and down the entire East Coast. Suburban warehouses, small shipping companies, even a veterinary supply distributor. All moving meth and cocaine disguised as medical chemicals and agricultural products. In Norfolk, investigators traced forged federal seals back to a retired procurement specialist living in Delaware. An innocent man. He had nothing to do with any of this. But the cartel had stolen his identity, copied his signature, used his name on dozens of illegal shipments. His own identity weaponized against his country. The third corridor was the scariest of all. Money, the lifeblood of any criminal operation. And this corridor ran through places you would never suspect. Nail salons, grocery stores, auto repair shops, small businesses that looked completely normal, generating cash flow that seemed legitimate. But underneath, millions of dollars being cleaned and sent back to Mexico, Guatemala, and Colombia. And connecting all three corridors were those 37 federal employees. Some recruited through debt, others through blackmail. A few just paid enormous sums to look the other way. CJNG had accomplished something no foreign enemy ever could. They had turned Americans into weapons against America. 5 in the morning, the sky still pitch black. 17 cities across America sitting quiet and peaceful. But in command centers from coast to coast, screens glowed with satellite feeds and drone surveillance. Red markers pulsed on digital maps. Each marker representing a target, a safe house, a warehouse, trucking depot, a port facility. And somewhere in those quiet suburban neighborhoods, cartel operatives sleeping peacefully, believing they were invisible, believing they were untouchable. They had no idea what was coming. Federal agents across the country checked their weapons one final time. Night vision goggles powered on, body armor strapped tight. Radio checks confirmed across dozens of channels. The tension in those final moments, you could cut it with a knife. Every agent knowing that in minutes they would be breaching doors, facing armed resistance, putting their lives on the line, heartbeats pounding, breath visible in the cold morning air, fingers resting on triggers, waiting. At 4:57 in the morning, the command came through every radio simultaneously. One word: execute. And across 17 cities all at once, the raids began. Virginia, first strike. 5:03 in the morning. A quiet 2-story house in the suburbs outside Arlington. White picket fence, trimmed lawn, mailbox with flowers around it. Neighbors thought a young couple lived there. Nice people, kept to themselves. But thermal imaging told a different story. 5 figures inside, awake, moving. Armed, the FBI breaching team crossed the wet grass without making a sound. Like ghosts in the darkness, they reached the front door, a flashbang ready. Every agent knowing the next few seconds would decide everything. The team leader gave the signal. The door exploded inward, and instantly all hell broke loose. 118 rifles recovered, 7 machine guns, 42 kilograms of cocaine hidden in crates labeled as automotive parts. This single warehouse had been arming cartel cells across the entire southern United States. California desert, 3,000 miles away. 3 cartel operatives spotted drones circling above them. They knew. Somehow they knew. And they ran. A black vehicle tearing across the desert, dust exploding behind them, trying desperately to escape. But there was nowhere to run. Department of Homeland Security helicopters appeared out of nowhere, banking low, blocking every escape route, forcing the vehicle to skid to a halt in a cloud of sand. The suspects abandoned the vehicle and ran into the open desert on foot. But tactical teams were already closing in from every direction. All 3 taken into custody without a single shot fired. Inside that abandoned vehicle, encrypted satellite phones, $50,000 cash, and a laptop containing coordinates for 3 more safe houses that weren't even on federal radar yet. Norfolk, Virginia. The port. 6 shipping containers sitting on the dock, each one bearing perfect federal seals. Seals that should have guaranteed safe passage through any checkpoint in the country. But those seals were forged, expertly forged. almost impossible to detect. Officers intercepted the containers just minutes before they would have entered the distribution pipeline. And when they cracked them open, they found chemical ingredients for manufacturing fentanyl. Cash bundles totaling over $3 million. Packaged cocaine ready for distribution to cities up and down the East Coast. 48 hours. That's how close these drugs came to hitting American streets. If Hanford's laptop hadn't been discovered, if that printer hadn't been moved, none of this would have been found. By sunrise, the first wave was complete. 2.1 tons of narcotics seized. 221 firearms recovered. 58 arrests across multiple states. But here's the thing. This was just the beginning. Let me ask you something. Did you have any idea that infiltration at this level was even possible? That cartel operatives could be hiding inside federal offices, carrying security badges, attending classified meetings. I want to know what you think. Drop the word exposed in the comments right now. And make sure you're subscribed with notifications on me, because what happened next? The panic that spread through federal offices. The traitors who tried to run, it reveals just how deep this corruption went. Let's continue. Now this is where the story takes a really dark turn. When news of the raids started spreading through federal offices, something happened that investigators didn't expect. The traitors started panicking, and panicking people make mistakes. The first signs appeared quietly. An employee who didn't show up for work. A workstation suddenly wiped clean overnight. A procurement officer frantically shredding documents that weren't even scheduled for disposal. At first, these looked like isolated incidents, coincidences. But as more reports came in from offices across the country, a terrifying pattern emerged. The corrupted employees knew. They knew the walls were closing in, and they were desperately trying to cover their tracks. In a field office outside Charlotte, agents arrived to question a mid-level coordinator connected to suspicious shipments. They walked up to his cubicle, expecting to find him at his desk. Instead, they found his chair overturned, his badge clipped to the desk, his computer completely wiped. Security cameras later showed him sprinting out of the building with a backpack, abandoning his car in the parking lot, disappearing into a wooded trail. That backpack was found hours later near a highway underpass. Inside, burner phones. $9,800 in cash, and nothing else. He ran for 48 hours, covered 200 miles. But federal marshals eventually caught up with him, hiding in a motel room 3 states away. In Denver, 2 federal contractors tried something even more desperate. When they saw investigators entering their building, they knew their time was up. So they stole restricted access keycards from a storage room and tried to break into a server closet. Their plan was obvious: delete the routing logs, destroy the evidence connecting them to the financial corridor, erase everything before anyone could trace the money. But the moment they swiped those stolen badges, a silent alarm triggered. Tactical agents intercepted them before the door even opened. Later investigation revealed bank accounts with unexplained deposits going back 8 months. Payments routed through one of those quiet grocery stores used for money laundering. They thought they were smart. They weren't smart enough. But the most alarming incident, the one that really showed how deep this went, happened in Tampa. A senior communications technician named Marcus Webb found out he was scheduled for questioning, and he completely lost it. He barricaded himself inside a terminal room, grabbed wire cutters and started severing fiber optic cables, smashed 2 encrypted devices with a hammer, tried to download classified routing information onto a personal drive. When agents approached the door, they could hear him screaming through the metal. "You don't understand," he yelled. "You don't understand the scale. Others are already cleaning up. This is bigger than you know." The standoff lasted 12 minutes. When tactical teams finally breached the door, Webb was on his knees trying to destroy one last hard drive with his bare hands. His fingerprints were later found on packaging connected to the Norfolk containers. He had been helping the cartel for over 2 years, and until that morning, nobody suspected a thing. Across the country, federal leadership was forced to face a devastating truth. CJNG hadn't just compromised one office, they had penetrated 9 federal agencies, dozens of state offices, positions at every level from entry-level clerks to senior coordinators with top security clearances. The question was no longer how the breach started. The question was how far did it still reach? By Friday morning, the investigation had grown beyond anything anyone anticipated. 9:15 in the morning, a secure conference room in Washington. Leaders from the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, Department of Justice, Department of Defense, ICE, ATF, and multiple state agencies all gathered around a massive table. Screens covered every wall. Maps, timelines, red markers spreading across the country like cracks in a windshield. And every single region showed the same thing. CJNG hadn't infiltrated randomly. They had studied the government like a blueprint, identified every crack, and moved into every single one. In response, the Secretary of Homeland Security announced something unprecedented: the creation of the Federal Integrity Restoration Task Force, a national unit with authority far beyond any normal investigation, empowered to go anywhere, question anyone, access any system. One mission: identify every compromised channel, reverse every cartel footprint, rebuild every corrupted pipeline from the ground up. And they got to work immediately. Teams fanned out across 9 federal agencies, pulling records from procurement offices, communications hubs, clearance departments, shipping control rooms, regional warehouses. What they found was staggering. Forged identities hidden inside human resources databases. People who had passed background checks using completely fabricated histories. Unauthorized badge replicas. Perfect copies that would fool any security checkpoint. Procurement requests tied to shell companies. Businesses that existed only on paper. Encrypted messaging systems disguised as routine software updates. Hidden communication channels operating right under everyone's noses. Every discovery revealed something worse. In New Jersey, agents raided a storage unit and found unused federal uniforms, counterfeit identification cards, enough to outfit an entire shadow workforce. In Phoenix, a data router that had been quietly forwarding shipping manifests to servers in Mexico City for 18 months straight. In Seattle, a house rented under the name of a veteran who had been dead for 6 years. Inside, laptops connected to procurement databases, heat maps matching cartel distribution routes. By the time everything was counted, the numbers were almost too big to comprehend. 3,800 arrests, 8 tons of narcotics, over $240 million in drugs, weapons, and cash seized. 17 major cities touched, 9 federal agencies compromised. But here's what kept investigators up at night. This was just one network, one cartel, one layer of infiltration. How many other networks were still operating? How many other corridors still pumping poison through America's systems? Nobody knew, and that uncertainty was terrifying. When analysts finally finished mapping everything they had discovered and put it all on one single display, the room went completely silent. The network stretched through dozens of state offices, 9 federal agencies, hundreds of private companies that had unknowingly become part of cartel operations. It looked like a spiderweb, and America had been walking across it for years without even knowing it was there. Think about that for a second. Hidden compartments inside the Pentagon, forged shipping labels moving drugs through military channels, corrupted employees sitting in classified meetings, suburban safe houses hiding operatives in quiet neighborhoods. This wasn't just drug trafficking. This was infiltration at a level nobody thought possible. CJNG hadn't kicked the door down. They hadn't used bombs or violence or obvious threats. They had walked right through the front door, using stolen identities. Forged credentials, been the one thing that makes any system vulnerable. Human trust. They exploited our belief that background checks work, that security clearances mean something, that the person sitting next to you at work is who they say they are. And for years, it worked perfectly. The Federal Integrity Restoration Task Force now operates across all 50 states. New background check protocols have been implemented. Access controls completely rebuilt. Shipping verification systems redesigned from scratch. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You can build higher walls, add more locks, create more oversight. But as long as there are people willing to betray their country for money, as long as systems depend on human trust, the vulnerability will never completely disappear. This operation was a victory. But it was also a warning. A warning that the battle for America's security isn't just fought at the border. It's fought inside the buildings where decisions are made. Inside the offices where trust is assumed. Inside the systems that keep the nation running every single day. And this brings me to a question I want you to really think about. Do you believe America is doing enough to protect itself from threats like this? Are background checks thorough enough? Are security clearances being properly vetted? Or do you think this kind of infiltration is going to happen again? I want to hear what you think. Drop your answer in the comments below. This is an important conversation, and your perspective might open someone else's eyes to a threat they never even considered. What happened across Virginia, Texas, California, Norfolk, and 9 federal agencies wasn't just another operation. It was a wake-up call. A reminder that the most dangerous threats don't always announce themselves. They don't always come with explosions and chaos. Sometimes they arrive quietly. Through job applications, through trusted employees, through systems designed to protect the very nation they're infiltrating. 3,800 people taken off the streets. 8 tons of poison stopped from reaching American communities. $240 million in cartel assets seized and destroyed. But here's what gives me hope. When those agents breached doors before dawn, when gunfire erupted in suburban homes and steel warehouses, when investigators pieced together shredded documents and destroyed hard drives, America responded. Not with confusion, not with delay, with speed, coordination, unity. Agencies that normally compete with each other stood shoulder to shoulder. Thousands of men and women put themselves in harm's way to protect people they would never meet. And together they exposed a threat that had been growing in the shadows for years. Hey, this story isn't just about infiltration. It's about resilience, about facing uncomfortable truths and choosing to fight anyway. About understanding that protecting a nation isn't a one-time thing. It's a constant responsibility, every single day. So if you believe these investigations matter, if you believe people deserve to know what's happening beneath the surface, hit that like button. Leave a comment. Subscribe to this channel. Your engagement keeps the spotlight on. Your shares spread awareness. Your voice makes sure these warnings cannot be ignored. Because this battle is far from over, and the next layer of truth may already be waiting to be uncovered. Stay vigilant.